Why do I look like this? Why am I like this? Hi, welcome to A Moment in Time with Taylor. Thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to check out the website nextjuice.com by clicking the support button. You can help me to keep this channel going. And if you have a business, product, service, something like that you want to have advertised in front of my audience, then click the sponsors page. All right. So I want to talk about last night's episode of Survivor. This is season 40, the 20th year anniversary of the show, Winners at War, episode 3, and it is called Out for Blood. Out for Blood. So I'm going to go, I take notes when I watch the episodes. I watched this episode live last night on my Periscope channel, so you can check that out. I go live on Periscope every single day, 7 days a week, for 3 hours a day, and I have a private Periscope group for recurring monthly supporters of the channel, and I was live in there earlier today for 5 hours. So lots of content. I might not get to my 3 hours of live content on Periscope today, but most of you are just here to talk about Survivor anyway, and you don't care about that, so let's get into it. So the season, most of this is in chronological order of last night's episode. The episode started off, and I thought, Adam, you are so right about Rob. He's such a godfather. He's not playing the game the way that he should be playing, but what's most frustrating is that it's working, and that everyone's listening to him, and everyone just does whatever he says. Some of you know that I was really frustrated that everyone emptied out their bags to see who had the idol in last week's tribal council. I thought that was really frustrating, and Adam was the only one who stood up to him then, so I came into this episode being really proud of Adam and really kind of rooting for him and cheering him on. Things degenerated for him just a little bit throughout the episode. So one other endearing trait of Adam that came up in this episode is that he gave the half of the idol back to Denise. So Denise now has a fully functional, complete hidden immunity idol, and we don't get to see if Sophie gave her half back to Kim yet, but I assume that she did, but we didn't get to see how that may or may not play out since they didn't go to tribal council this evening. So I'm just going to skip ahead just to talk about Adam real quick. So they decided they wanted to go for Parvati. Adam said, this is the time we need to start going for some big targets. We need to take some of these big guys down because there's a top 3 old school alliance of Parvati, Big Rob, I don't know why I always call him Big Rob. He's a little bigger than he used to be. Parvati, Boston Rob, and Ethan. And they wanted to, I think they should have targeted Boston Rob. I've been saying that every single week. This is week 3. I still think they should have targeted Rob, but instead they decided they were going to target Parvati. And it was supposed to be a blindside. They wanted to blindside Parvati. Well, Adam came up with this master plan that he wanted to see if there was a way to blindside someone, and he said there's really no way in this game to vote someone out and not piss somebody else off and have someone else want to come after you for voting their alliance off. But sorry, Matt, but he said, or is there? Turns out there isn't. But he wanted to see if he could do that, so he decided to go to Ethan and tell him about the plan. You know, we want to get Parvati out, would you be cool with that? Ethan was like, oh yeah, I'll think about it. You could tell from the body language there between the conversation that Ethan was not, he thought it was stupid that Adam was telling him this. He was not on board with it, he didn't like it, and he wasn't planning on going along with it. He said the same thing in his confessional, and that later on in the episode, Adam went and told Rob as well. Hey, we're going to go for Parvati tonight. I just wanted you to know because I want to work with you. I have your back 100%. He says to Ethan, I have your back 100%. First of all, these guys don't really need you to have their backs considering that they're at the top of the game really right now. It seems that way anyway since they've had control over the last several vote outs. And you're like this new school guy. You're a lot younger than them. They don't really feel the desire for you to have their backs. They don't really feel like you should be protecting them or feel confident in you protecting them, especially when you're telling every single person on the tribe that you have their back 100%. It's not really a smart strategy in my opinion. You can tell that Adam thinks he's being very savvy, very smart, very strategic, and at tribal council you could see that kind of realization that things are not as they seem for Adam anymore. Stream Fun Geek, thank you for the Super Hearts. First Super Hearts of the broadcast. Really appreciate you. That is a great way to keep this channel and this show going. I do this every week after the Survivor episodes. So he told Ethan, he told Rob. Rob was like, oh yeah, man, you got my back 100%. I feel you. Thank you for letting me know. yeah, let's go for Parvati. As long as it's not me, all good. Then New School seems hyper crazy. At least he was a little chaotic last night. I felt the same way. So Rob goes over to pretty much everyone and says, he goes to his alliance, Ethan and Parvati, tells them the plan. He goes to everyone else on the tribe, with the exception of Adam, and says, listen, Adam told me everything. I know the plan to blindside Parvati. So why don't we just go for Adam? Because he's playing every side. He's playing everyone against each other. He's not going to be loyal or trustworthy to anybody, and he's not playing the game right, because that's not how you do a blindside. A blindside means that the person getting voted out doesn't know they're getting voted out. So if you tell the members of the closest members to them in their alliance, chances are they're going to find out about the blindside, and it's no longer a blindside, and they can play an idol or some type of advantage. So they're like, yeah, nodding along with Rob. Yeah, we should just go for Adam. That makes sense. Michelle, Ben, Denise, and Jeremy. Yeah, we should totally go for Adam. That makes a lot of sense. And then Tribal Council came about. And at the end, I'll talk about Tribal Council and how that went. And then we'll talk about the fun little highlights of the episode. So Tribal Council comes around. Adam's super confident. We're going to blindside Parvati. It's going to be awesome. I'm so awesome. I'm so smart. Well, and then Big Rob. That's just his name now. We should just call him Big Rob. Boston Rob, Ethan, and Parvati are all like, oh, we're getting Adam out. He thinks he's pulling a blindside, but we're actually going to blindside him. So they all vote accordingly. Do they even have Real World anymore? I guess I would go on that show if they wanted me to. Wait, what do you win if you go on that show? Anyway, so Adam votes for Parvati. Ethan, Rob, Parvati vote for Adam. These three think, actually all four of them think that the rest of the tribe, the other four remaining tribe members, are going to vote with them, either Parvati or Adam. Well, those four people pulled a beautiful, beautiful, successful blindside between just four members of was it 9? So you have those four, Adam, Ethan, Parvati, Rob. So out of 8 people, with 4 of them, half of the tribe pulled off a successful blindside because they knew Adam was going to vote for Parvati. So they knew they didn't really need to worry about his vote. Now, they could have gotten Parvati out, but they were worried about pissing off Rob and Ethan, which I don't always understand why that is. I think they can just see how manipulative and successful Rob is at getting people to do what he wants. So they were a little worried about that. So instead, those 4 decided to vote for Ethan. So 3 votes went to Adam, 1 vote went to Parvati, and 4 votes went to Ethan, which ultimately resulted in Ethan, and the top of my head, being the 3rd person to go to the edge of extinction. He was voted off of the island last night. So he is now on edge of extinction with Amber, who is Boston Rob's wife, and Natalie, the first person to be voted off, and Danny, the person who was voted off last week. So Ethan's the first male member of Edge of Extinction, which is a relief for those of you who didn't want to see another female be voted off. Of course, Parvati is a big threat, but everyone on Edge of Extinction is female, which means it seems more and more likely that a man is going to win this season, which is fine, but let's keep it somewhat level here. Let's try to level the playing field. Let's not just vote out all the women. The first 10 people voted out are all the women, and then there's only 10 men left. It makes for a little bit different of a dynamic on the tribe. Personally, I don't really want to watch a tribe of all men or of all women. It's more fun to see the different dynamics and differences of a more diverse group of people, in my opinion. So that was pretty surprising. It was a blindside to the audience sitting at home, and it was a blindside. You could see Rob was pissed off, Parvati was surprised, Adam was surprised. The other 4 were kind of smirking and smiling. They knew exactly what they were doing. So again, that was Denise, Jeremy, Ben, who am I forgetting here? And Michelle. Those 4 successfully orchestrated a blindside against Ethan. So now it's just Rob and Parvati, which is really exciting. And the reality is that Adam will be back with the other crowd. It's going to be those 4 plus Adam, because Parvati and Rob just voted Adam out. So Adam's not going to want to work with them. He's going to say, oh, I'm so sorry. If he plays it right, tuck his tail between his legs, say, I'm so sorry, it was so stupid of me, you're right, I shouldn't have told Ethan, I shouldn't have told Rob, that was so dumb, it won't happen again. I'm gonna earn your guys' trust back, work really hard around camp, feed the tribe, keep the fire going, get the water, and just suck up to everyone as much as possible to keep morale high and to get back in those people's good graces. Michelle was really upset. I think they showed some clips of next week's episode where Michelle was like, I'm just so sick of Adam. He's playing both sides and I don't like that. And I think that's kind of petty, maybe a little bit, because it's like, it's Survivor. Like, you're supposed to play every angle and every side and have every person think they're in alliance with you. I mean, that's a pretty successful strategy to win the game. So it's not really like so surprising. It wasn't like Adam was saying, oh, these people are against you and I'm just telling you, I'm coming to tell you because I don't want to vote her out. No, he was like, we're voting Parvati out. He was just trying to make it so nobody was upset after the blindside, which actually it never happened. And now Parvati's going to be, so Rob and Parvati are going to be pissed off with Adam. It seems like Michelle is as well. So Adam's definitely got a lot of clawing his way back up to do, or he's on very thin ice if their tribe loses again, which they did again last night. Hi, Greg on YouTube. Okay, so what else do we have? Let's talk about fire tokens, the exchanges of fire tokens that occurred in last night's episode. So everybody started the season with 1 fire token. I've been trying to keep track every week of how many fire tokens everyone has so that we can kind of keep a feel for where the wealth resides on these islands between the main island and Edge of Extinction. So we have everyone with 1, with the exception of Sandra, Amber, Danny, and Sarah. They all have 0. So when they get voted off and they go to the Edge of Extinction, they have to get rid of their fire tokens. So that's why Amber and Danny both have 0 fire tokens. Amber gave hers to Rob, Danny gave hers to Denise, so now they both have 0 fire tokens. Now, Sandra has 0 fire tokens because she bought an idol from Natalie, who sold it to her from the Edge of Extinction, and Sarah has 0 fire tokens because she bought a steal a vote advantage, which she got in last night's episode, and this advantage was not only an advantage she had to buy for her 1 fire token that she had from Natalie, but she also had to go retrieve it from the other tribe's camp. It was hidden in one of their torches. So she had to sneak into their camp at night. She had to go into the torches and get the steal a vote advantage and not get caught, which she did successfully do. And it was smart for Natalie to pick Sarah because Sarah, hey Bradley, because Sarah has had successfully used the steal a vote advantage in her season, Game Changers, the season that she won. Bradley said they're all idiot sandwiches. I was actually pretty impressed with the blind side of the 4. How did you feel about that, Bradley? I was not expecting Ethan. I thought that was really well played. You could tell only the 4 that voted for him knew what was happening, and they played that so well because if any of those votes had gone a different direction, the outcome could have been different. And instead it went exactly how it seems like they all planned it, which was just very impressive and a somewhat unlikely alliance kind of formed there between Ben, Denise, Jeremy, and Michelle. I was sad and mad. Oh, you liked Ethan? Did you want him to win? I knew Ethan wasn't going to make it too far because of the way he was playing. He was very much like old school, loyalty, it's hard to break yourself of that because that won you $1 million before, so it's a very powerful like neural connection in your brain. Like, that is good, do that. That was rewarded. He's probably continued to live a lot of his life that way and gotten rewarded for being loyal, because in the real world, being loyal, trustworthy, old school is going to benefit you. He was part of your draft. Okay. Hey, Mikey. So partially because of the way he was playing and partially because of his story, because he is a cancer survivor. So he's in remission right now from cancer. I think he's been in remission. I forget. I looked at the numbers. I don't know them now. I think maybe from 2012. Excuse me. So he had cancer. He went into remission. It came back. He went into remission. Now, what's interesting about Ethan, we'll talk about him since he got voted out, one of the treatments that helped him to go into remission and helped to get his cancer out of his body was a treatment that the research for that treatment was partially funded by the show Survivor. Survivor created I think Survivor Against Cancer, it's called, charitable nonprofit organization after one of their previous members passed away from cancer, and both Ethan and that girl, I want to say Lauren, I didn't watch her season, so I'm sorry, I don't remember. They were both kind of fighting cancer side by side, and she didn't make it and he did. So it's a really powerful story, and if he was up there in the final 3, the chances of him getting that $1 million was pretty high. I mean, he's done really well with the money he had. He started a not-for-profit soccer organization. He was a soccer player. I mean, he seems like he's just been a really good guy, and he's quite popular, and it's just not someone you want sitting next to you at the final 3. So I assumed that he was going to go out. I didn't realize the way he was going to go out. It was actually quite impressive, in my opinion. All right. So that's the zeros. Then we have, and everyone else, like I said, has 1 fire token. Denise has 2 because Danny giving her hers. Rob has 2 because of Amber giving him hers. And Parvati now has 2 because at the end of this last night's episode, Ethan gave his fire token to Parvati, which wasn't very surprising, but was somewhat interesting that he chose Parvati over Rob. He had to choose pretty much between those 2, and he went with Parvati. Probably thinks she has a better chance of actually going further than Rob because he's such a big target. Also, Rob and Amber are married, and they've both won Survivor on different seasons, so they already have $2 million in the bank from it, as well as Sandra. And there is a little conspiracy theory I saw floating around on Twitter that may or may not be reliable at all, but I thought it was an interesting thought experiment that what if Boston Rob and Sandra have a secret alliance? So Sandra's strategy is, let's get Amber out. I hate Rob. He didn't tell me he was playing again. This is ridiculous. And the whole time they were on Island of the Idols, they were plotting, strategizing. Oh yeah, let's say that, you didn't tell me and I'm so pissed off. I can't wait to get you out. And the whole time they're working together. And getting Amber out was just to solidify that guise. I like that. That would be really exciting. Like if that actually worked out that way, that'd be so fun to watch. So a part of me is like, oh, I really hope that's real. But another part of me is like, get Rob out. He's driving me crazy. And Rob was my favorite player to watch before this season, but this season it's just like, I'm just not digging his energy, like the way that he's just very serious and he's using intimidation and it's working, the fact that he's having so much success with this strategy is like so frustrating because you look at it, it's so easy to say from an outside view, oh, I would stand up to him. I wouldn't empty out my bag. I would blah, 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 blah. Well, I bet all these people thought they wouldn't do that either, yet here they are just telling him everything, Oh, hey, Frankie, what's up? Don't worry, you're still good, Frankie. And you have an idol. Frankie has Denise. All right. And then the wealthiest person on the game and is actually on edge of extinction is Natalie, who's quite a little merchant at this point. She has made 3 out of 3 successful sales. She has a 100% close ratio from edge of extinction, where she has sold an idol and 2 advantages, 1 to Sandra, 1 to Jeremy, 1 to Sarah, and she now has 3 fire tokens, and she's the wealthiest person in the game in terms of fire tokens, which means, if I recall the pricing correctly, she has enough fire tokens now to buy an immunity idol if she gets back into the game. She can buy the immunity idol, which can only be used when she gets back into the game, but I think it's only, or is it 3 for the advantage? I forget. So it's either 2 or 3 fire tokens for an advantage in the challenge to get back into the game. So that would be the smartest thing to spend your tokens on from Edge of Extinction to get that advantage. But then also if if you have an idol, that's going to be useful if you actually do get back into the game, which right now Natalie has a very strong chance of winning herself back into the game. She's more physically fit than Amber or Danny. I'm not sure about Ethan, so we'll have to see how Natalie and Ethan kind of stack up. But even mentally, she seems to be just one step ahead of everyone all the time. And I love that because I love her so much. And she's been on Edge of Extinction longer than anyone else, so she really should be the weakest because she hasn't been eating. She's been living in somewhat isolation. There's no challenges. There's no rewards. It's just waiting until another person shows up. And then the next day after somebody shows up, there's like a little challenge where they can go find a reward, which they can sell back to the people on the main island, which I don't even know if the other people know about that yet. I'm not sure Natalie told them. So the challenge for this time, once Danny showed up on Edge of Extinction, they had these little bamboo, they were like bamboo packages, little bamboo capsules, which had a string with seashells on them. They opened them up, there's a picture inside of a tree. And there's certain types of trees both Amber and Natalie recognize very well. And they went immediately there. Natalie was way ahead of everyone. Then it was like Amber and Danny. I don't remember who was next, but they all kind of got there at the same time. And it was a combination lock. So you had to figure out what the combination was and pull the key out, and then you would have the advantage. So no one knew what the combination was. How are we supposed to know? And it says you've been given everything that you need. So it's somewhere, right? You know that you've been given the key, but what is it? What is this combination? What are the numbers? I was thinking, is it the numbers of the seasons that they've won? Someone's like, is it our birthdays? Amber ran down and didn't tell anyone. She had seen numbers painted on the crates down by the flag that they can raise if they surrender and give up the game, quit the game. So she went and she's looking at the numbers on the crates and trying those numbers, and that didn't work. And then it clicks for Natalie, the numbers of seashells. So the seashells that were hanging off of the little bamboo capsules were sequenced in different numbers. So it was like 3 seashells, space, 1 seashell, space, 5 seashells, space, so on and so forth. So she figures that out. She puts it in her bag. She smashes a couple of the shells on one of the other girls' capsules, and then she throws another one into the bushes so that they won't be able to figure out the combination. She runs up, figures it out. It is indeed correct. She gets the steal a vote advantage, which she then successfully sells to Sarah, giving her 3 fire tokens. And I just love her. She's so awesome. And she, I've been following her on Twitter, and she's just like a beast in the gym. This girl is strong as hell, and it just is super inspiring. I love it so much. So definitely recommend. Her username on Twitter is Natalie with 2 E's. So it's NATALIEEAND. Her last name's Anderson. So Natalie and. Hi, Jose. How are you? All right. One other thing. When Sarah had to go sneak into the other camp to get the steal a vote advantage, she told Tony, which I don't think is the smartest decision, but she told him, and then he said he was going to help her by taking ashes from the fire and rubbing them on her forehead. I don't understand why that would help or be necessary at all. If they see you, it's pitch dark, okay? So it's not like the color of your skin that they're gonna see. It's more like a shadow, right? They're gonna either see you in your physical form or not. The ashes on your forehead, not necessary at all. Voodoo. And then they weren't sticking to her, so she told him to spit in it. So he spits in it, he's rubbing it on her head. She spits in it, it goes everywhere, she's rubbing it on her head. It was like, I don't know what's going on here. But she did successfully go steal them. Maybe there was some good juju from the spit ashes on her head. I don't know. Trav, thank you for the super hearts. Hey, Sarah. A spit fetish? Maybe. I don't know. A couple things. So there was a couple fish caught in last night's episode. Danny caught her first fish of her life on edge of extinction, which was really exciting for her. She said it was like the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. There's just fish everywhere, and she did successfully spearfish, which was exciting and really cute. It was a small fish, but it was still really exciting for her, and some people catch no fish, so it was pretty cool. Then Sandra, who is pretty much known throughout Survivor history, not only as being the only person to win twice, especially as a female, but the only person in the history of Survivor to win 2 seasons of Survivor by herself, but she also caught a shark last night. And she was also not known as being physically, I didn't finish that sentence properly, she's not physically strong. She's, as far as I know, never won an individual immunity challenge. She's just not she's not a physical threat, which is often what ends up helping her to get to the end, because people don't really vote her out because they know that she's not going to win immunity over them. So they keep her around almost as a goat, but she's quite popular. So at the end, if she makes it to the final 3, she ends up winning the game. So we'll see. So she caught a shark. So she was standing in some shallow water, and she said, all these fish were swimming around here and just kind of looking at me. She's like, if we lay our nets out here with, pin them down with rocks, we should be able to catch some fish. So that's what they did. And sure enough, the next day they come out, or the next morning or later that day or something, a decent size, like baby shark is caught in the net. And, Tony's going, baby shark, do, 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 baby shark, do, do. Which I knew that was going to happen. I predicted it last week. And he grabs the shark by the tail and he pulls it out, and the shark starts trying to bite him. He's running around. Everybody's imitating him. It was great. He throws it in the bucket. Doesn't get bit. Everything is good. So, out for blood. I don't know if it was a reference to the shark trying to eat Tony, or through Rob and Ethan and Parvati trying to get Adam, or Adam trying to get Parvati, or everyone else trying to get Ethan. I don't know. I don't know who's out for blood. I might have missed the reference there. Redskin, these aren't fake. These are real. You'll see some of these people commenting in the chat. These are all their Periscope usernames. These are all people who've contributed to this channel over the last 30 days. I have gone live every single day for over 3 years in a row. So it's not fake, but it's not easy either. And I am very proud of my ability to create valuable content that you guys actually want to support. That's right. Yeah, the coronavirus has been in the U.S. for a while now. I think there's over 60 cases in the U.S. at this point. Okay. So, Tyson did go to Yule and tell him that he wanted to target Sandra. Let's get Sandra out. Tyson views Sandra as a big, easy target to go for. And Yule was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm cool with that. So Yule's the guy I want to win. Yule is awesome. He's so impressive. I love him so much. I love him so much this season. I didn't care for him much during his season because he didn't have a lot of, like, competition. But this season is, like, he really gets to shine. It's so, so awesome. So he tells Sandra that Tyson's coming for her to basically turn them on each other. He's trying to stay out of it, you know? He's like, oh, just so you know, Tyson said we should try to get you out. Now, Sandra played that perfectly. She said, well, we only really need to worry about that if we lose the immunity challenge. So let's just win, and then we don't have to worry about who Tyson wants out because nobody's going home. I was like, yes, that was so perfectly played, because in the confessional, one-on-one with the producers, she's like, if you're coming for me, I better not hear about it because you will not get off the hook. You will pay. You know, and I was like, yes, because I'm not a huge fan of Tyson, and I love Sandra, so this is music to my ears. My boyfriend wants Tyson to win. Sorry, babe. We thought that, we pretty much determined that if they had lost last night, Tyson probably would have gone home. So that was pretty entertaining for me, not so much for him. All right, so Sandra also sat out during the immunity challenge because it was a pretty physical challenge, but she couldn't do the puzzle because of that. So she had to watch, and you could tell at one point she's like, I'm a nervous wreck, I can't even watch. She's like trying to help out, but she's so far away she can't really help adequately. But that's okay, because her team won anyway. Although I will say that Rob made up for what he was lacking in the puzzle last week by doing so well on the puzzle with him and Michelle? No, not Michelle. Yeah, Michelle. Yeah, Rob and Michelle it was, on the puzzle. So last week he couldn't do the puzzle. Him and her, they were quite far behind. The red team had a big lead over them, and it got so close with the puzzle at the end. They each had like one piece left. So Rob and Michelle did a really good job closing that gap during the puzzle. Either that or Sarah and Sophie didn't do very good at the puzzle. I don't know. But either way, the red team won, so I was happy because Yule didn't have to worry about going home. But Rob did not do well at trying to hook the ball and rope onto the little Y piece so that he could pull himself up the wall, which they needed to do for the whole tribe to be able to get up the wall to get to the puzzle stage. So that part was a little bit stressful too. Ben ended up doing it successfully, which was a relief because they finally got up there. I thought the other team was going to finish the puzzle before they even made it up the wall. So, is that everything? Oh, Tyson's like 7 feet tall. He like lifted people manually up the wall. That was awesome. That reminded me of Rob like catapulting everyone over the big cylinder in the first immunity challenge, or second immunity challenge. Yeah. And that's pretty much all the highlights that I had. If you guys have anything else of last night's episode that you liked or want to talk about, let me know. We can discuss it now. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up, and my next broadcast will be a book review. If you don't know, I like to read lots of books. You can sign up for my book reviews at the link right there, nextjuice.com. It's free, and I send them out only 3 times a year. So once every 4 months, you'll get an email from me that has all of the books that I've read over those 4 months, a link to the book if you want to get it yourself, a review, and a summary of all the books. I read lots of books, so you don't have to, and you can decide if one sounds really, really good. Maybe you'll get it. This is the next book I'll be reviewing. It's called Positive Discipline, the Classic Guide to Helping Children Develop Self-Discipline, Responsibility, Cooperation, and Problem-Solving Skills by Jane Nelson. It's a book and strategy I learned about in one of my psychology classes. I am a psychology major. I'm paying my way through college, so if you click that link in the description, nextjuice.com/support, you'll see my GoFundMe link where you can support my schooling directly if you prefer. Any way that you support me is hugely appreciated. I very, very much appreciate you guys. And I'll see you in a few minutes to discuss this book. I hope you enjoyed this Survivor recap. I'll be back next week doing it all again and recapping and summarizing and giving my opinions on episode 4, season 40, Survivor Winners at War. I hope to see you guys on the next Juice. This has been A Moment in Time with Taylor. Bye, Greg.